Hello, everyone. So this is Pippa Merivale here, and I'm here to talk with Steve Nobel today on the subject of quantum reality creation. So for those of you who are not already familiar with him, Steve Arnell Nobel he's an author. He's also a book mentor. He's also a coach. Now, I first met Steve some 20 years ago or so when he was one of the directors of Alternatives, which he did for a long time. He was that for 13 years, but he left that in 2012. And since then, he's created Conscious Media, which is a great platform. Conscious Media, make a note of it. It's a great platform for spiritual authors and teachers. And he's also created his own healing system called Soul Matrix Healing, which is all about clearing and healing the energy bodies and the karmic patterns that get in the way of our living our soul's purpose. And Steve's website is www, of course, stevenobel.com. That's STEVENOBEL.com. Well, Steve has a tremendously lively mind and heart, and I always enjoy conversations with him immensely. So, Steve, are you there?
I'm here, Pippa. Thank you.
Great. Welcome. Hi.
Hi, Pippa.
So, what do you mean when you talk about reality creation, Steve? What do you mean by that?
I first came across the idea in the early 90s that this idea, which is kind of a channeled idea, a number of channels started speaking about this from the 60s and 70s, the idea that we create our reality. And the first channel that spoke about this was Seth, who was channeled by Jane Roberts in America in the 60s. Jane's no longer with us. And then I think the next one who really took up the mantle that I heard was Lazarus by a channel called Jack Purcell. And Lazarus was the one I went deeply into. And I remember listening to these tapes saying, you create your own reality, period, in that American, period, full stop, And he said it's not 70%, it's 100%. Everything around us is a creation of our own internal psychological landscape. All the people, all the situations, our home, our relationships, everything. And when I first heard that, I thought this is an incredible kind of concept, and it really took me a while to really sit with it, to get the full breadth, not just some things, because I think before I heard this, I kind of got to realize that attitude has an impact on our reality. If you have a kind of sour, dour attitude, we get certain kind of responses, and I kind of worked that one out from doing a lot of psychotherapy and counseling. But the idea that everything in my life was a creation that I was creating and that I could somehow influence was an idea that came across in the early 90s. Listening to kind of hundreds and hundreds of channeled tapes and reading loads of books. All my old books in the bookshelves of like history and philosophy were soon wiped away by all these kind of new channeled metaphysical books. And I dived really deeply into the whole idea, and I really wanted to get, because something in me said there's a core truth here that I have to really get, and I had to really kind of clear lots of layers in my mind around how reality works, because I thought that reality works, you have a job, you have a boss who might tell you or not like you very much or give you feedback. There's a government, and there are all these kind of external forces that govern our reality. But this was a radical idea that says actually the real director of our whole life is us. And it took me years, and so I dived into the whole metaphysical scene, into channeling. I worked with a lady called Jill Edwards who runs something called Living Magically. She was an amazing teacher. She left the planet in 2011. And she really was a champion of this idea and others, and she pointed the way to things like working with the light body, and then eventually I went into working with Wicca for many years, the kind of more earth-based magical systems, and then finally I came out the more grounded end of coaching, which also actually within it also has an element of that we create our reality. It's really like undoing the inner dynamics to kind of shift our outer world. So that's how I came to it. And really, I've been practicing for about 20 years, and I really think if the idea works, it has to work. It's not just an idea; it has to actually show me that it works.
Yes, quite.
I remember one of the first people, actually the first person who ever told me the idea was a crystal healer therapist. Her name was Beverly. I've lost touch with her now, unfortunately, but I know she's around town, but I'm kind of not really in touch with her. But I remember her saying that you create your reality, and I was thinking, well, what do you mean? And she explained it, your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, your choices, your intentions, your focus, all of it creates your reality. Yeah. And I thought, wow, that's an amazing idea. She said, go and practice it. So I completely new at this, thinking, well, all right then, I know I'm always late for appointments with her because I used to see her once a week, and I thought this is the ideal way to test it out was to try this. And she lived in beyond Shepherd's Bush, West London, and I lived in South London. It was quite a long drive actually to get there, and I was always about 20 minutes late, or half an hour late, or it always worked out that way. So I thought, well, I know what I'll do. I'll visualise myself going through every traffic light will go green. Every one will be green, And I still was late. The next appointment didn't work. So I thought, I said to her, it didn't work, She kind of said, well, try again, And then I had an inspiration. Instead of doing, it's quite hard work to imagine like 20 traffic lights all going green. I'm sitting at the traffic light, imagine, come on, go green. And so I had a different idea. I thought, I'll just visualise a clock and me stepping into a house at exactly the right time. And that was a revelation, because for the next 6 weeks, I got there within a minute before, never late, but within a minute of the time of my appointment for 6 weeks. And I thought, that is incredible. That means somehow I'm shifting, and I wasn't leaving particularly any earlier or anything. It wasn't like, even if I had, I'd have got there massively early. But I was getting there exactly on time. So that said, there's something in this. And I mean, from there, I've experimented in the last 20 years in all kinds of areas, from relationships to work. And my whole life has changed completely on its head from the time I started. My work has changed, my relationships changed, my sense of abundance has changed, opportunity has changed, possibility, all of that. So it's really, I'm talking really from the laboratory of my own life rather than, I've read this book and I think it's true,
Yeah. We need the laboratory.
We do,
There's absolutely The books are good pointers. The books get us started, or the people we meet.
Yes.
And then it's the practice that does it.
Yes.
Yeah. So and I think for everybody on the planet, it was when we were, or anybody who's seeking, when we were first faced with that idea, it was an incredibly huge challenge to what had been reality before that, wasn't it?
Yes. Yes.
And if you could embrace that, as you did. So you've absolutely embraced it in your life. And what have you found is the things, I mean, you've described your drive through London and wanting the lights to go green.
Yes.
What do you think gets in the way of that process of creating the reality that your heart longs for, that your soul longs for?
I think, really the most fundamental thing is when someone actually completely doesn't believe, like the mass mind would go, that's not the way reality works. Reality works through the stock market, reality works through government, change in policy, and and all these things, of course, do impact our reality. But a person who cannot see any separation between who they are showing up in the world and the reality around them, who's got no sense of this whatsoever, is a major block. Now, someone very close to me, for many years as we were growing up, was saying, it's all, what's happening to me is other people's fault. It's always, it's never me. It's always a school teacher or a school system or a work which is totally bullying me, and this went on for years, I mean, finally that person has kind of shifted, actually, but it was very torturous watching this. It was somebody I cared about quite deeply. So really, if we can't separate, or we reject the idea, there's no way I can influence my reality or shape it in any sense or whatsoever. So really, I mean, there's a brilliant system which I came across, or Jill pointed to, called Huna, which is an Hawaiian system that says really reality is created at 3 levels, and this is the 3 levels of our mind. The first level is the conscious mind, which the conscious mind is really, you can think of the left and right sides of the brain, the left being logical, linear, planning, strategy. It's much more externally focused, the left brain. It's like, how do we build this bridge from A to Z? It's that's an engineer or an IT engineer are going to have very left brain. That's the way they're built usually. They excel at that because they're quite left brain. Right brain is imagination, intuition, feeling, creativity. It's much more internally focused. Now, the function of the conscious mind is to assess and make choices in our reality. It looks at a reality and assesses it and makes choices. That's the function of the conscious mind. The unconscious mind manages all the autonomic functions, heart, breathing, but also energy functions such as chakras, meridians, and within there are other lifetimes and things like contracts that we make with people at a soul level. And the third level, according to Huna, is higher consciousness, which is soul purpose, destiny, access to multidimensional nature of the soul, and beyond to monadic consciousness. So we have these three levels, and most people might run, I think the majority of the world, as we're trained, are just really running on left brain logic.
Yes, quite. Absolutely.
They've got no connection to their unconscious, not even to their body, or I should say actually the unconscious is also emotional. So you can tell a left brain person, no connection to emotion, very poor connection to their body, all in the head. So really, the work really is about bringing the left and right brain together, connecting to our emotions and our body. This is really, the body is the magical wand that I've always felt, that if we're not connected to our body, we can't really manifest anything.
I love that description. The body is the wand.
Yeah, the body's the wand, and it's the body.
Beautiful.
Yeah, the body's the one that channels all the energy towards things and whatever. So we've really got to kind of work on connecting. The reality creation is in two parts. The first part is working with our conscious and unconscious mind, and the second part, which is really the quantum part, is where we pull in our higher conscious mind, which is really where we can connect to beings like Metatron and beings like, guides and angelic forces. But if we haven't kind of worked on our left and right consciousness mind, or if we haven't connected in some way to our unconscious mind and started to become aware of our belief systems and our conditioning, then we can't really access our higher conscious. This is why religion kind of doesn't work. It's mostly in the head. There's some great rituals in religion, but if it's all in the head and the body's not involved, then you can't connect with spirit. This is why traditionally, there's candle lighting. This all invokes a sense of magic and a sense of wonder, and that's the deep meaning of ritual. It's mostly been lost, But what really blocks us is so an unquestioning mind, particularly one that asks the wrong questions, like who's to blame instead of what needs to change or be done differently. That's a major block in the conscious mind. Being too left-brained, or too right-brained, we really, if we're too left-brained, we really need to start moving towards the right brain, moving towards the body, the emotions, the imagination. If we're too right, and Pippa, in this world, there's most of the people we meet in the mind-body-spirit world are too right-brained. They're too dreamy, they're too.
Yes, right.
They need to have a sense of strategy, of structuring, of linear thinking. It's not. We don't need to get rid of the mind. We need to kind of embrace it. We have a mind for a reason. Another problem, or another cause for blocking reality creation, is where people are thinking about problem instead of possibility all the time. And most of the people we meet are trained to think of analysing the problem and thinking a way through the problem.
Yes.
But what happens if we're only focusing on solving problems is we tend to attract more problems to solve,
energy.
It's the way it is.
Yeah.
Really. Yeah. I managed a team in local government for some years, and they kept presenting me with problems. We got this, and I kept on solving the problem. Meditating, getting the idea. For example, our shift 24/7 shift rota pattern doesn't work, so I downloaded a whole new rota for them. I didn't work it out; it was all downloaded in my sleep state, actually, and then I presented it, and then they come up with something else that was a problem, and I saw that they were just trained to think about problems. That's all life is, one problem after another. Whereas when we shift into possibility, it's what is possible here. It's a real big shift, in terms of reality. But the major block...
It's huge.
It's huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
The major block really comes from our unconscious mind. It's really our conditioning. This is the major block in most people. Conditioning and belief are the major problems. For example, I came from a very working class family where money was very tight, but most importantly, my parents had very strong views about money and work and what's possible in the working class zone, and I remember I hit up against this when I started. I was doing very well at school. I excelled, I was doing A-levels. I was academically quite bright. And I remember my father saying to me one day, I'm not supporting you to go to university. You've got to get a proper job.
Right.
So that was that was me coming up against that kind of my father's belief. And Actually, at the time when I was 17, I didn't really have the confidence to go against it. You know, I thought, oh, well, gosh, I've got to get a job. So that started me off in a whole different train, really.
Yeah.
But, you know, so... And another example would be a friend of mine who come from a very wealthy family who, although she led a very alternative lifestyle, always attracted money, always attracted work that paid her very well, always managed somehow to negotiate her way through the world so that she did all right. So our beliefs, you know, our conditioning point to our beliefs, and we have beliefs about everything from work, health, relationships, and, you know, for example, a belief about money would be, you know, there's not enough to go around. I can never have enough. There's always more flowing out than flowing in. To money is evil, or I have to sell my soul to earn money. You know, that kind of stuff. So it's really good to be aware of these kind of beliefs, because they're the kind of pointers of the boundary of our reality. You know, if we think that only a certain amount of money can flow into our life, then that's all we can create, really. You know,
it's like a fence, isn't it?
It's like a fence, yeah. It's becoming aware of the boundaries of our fence, and again, and really, if we're not aware of the boundary of what we think is possible, so for example, I remember having this boundary around work, which was I can earn money. I mean, I could earn money, but I never enjoyed a moment of it. That was my boundary. It's fine to earn 20, 30 quid an hour, but but my boundary was I can't have any joy in it. You know, I worked in banking and local government. There was no joy. It was kind of stressful. And then I shifted career into alternatives, and I remember feeling I started selling books. I remember I earned my first night. I earned £10 selling books, and I almost took that £10 and framed it. I just thought, this is the most joyful £10 I have ever earned in my whole life. And that shifted a boundary for me around work and money, you know.
Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, that's lovely.
So it's becoming aware of those kind of subtleties, you know. It's not just about money, but what about money and joy? What about money and creativity, or money and playfulness? There are all kinds of combinations that we can look at and go, well, yes, I can earn, like, for example, I met someone who earned a lot of money in insurance. He was CEO of an insurance company, but he was very interested in creativity and art. But he collected it. He never did it, because his belief system was, I can make money and I can collect art, but I can't possibly do it. You know.
Yeah.
So you see what I mean?
Absolutely.
So really, at the most simplest level of creation, it's really around looking at our beliefs, what's in the way, and then looking at what we'd want instead of that. You know, if we've got a certain reality around money, what we'd like instead of this reality. If we've got a certain reality around our relationship, what would we like instead? And then as we start pushing the boundary out, all the kind of resistances will come up naturally. Well, I don't think I could possibly ever, you know, or I'm not the sort of person, or I'm a working class this, or they'll come up. So in terms of reality creation, it's around intention. What do you want? And there's, for example, a great exercise listeners could do would be get a piece of paper, draw a circle in it, and I call this exercise the circle of dreams. And in the circle, just write everything that your heart desires. And that could be specifics such as a new job in a lovely, spacious office, to qualities such as I want to have more joy playing with my children, or I want to laugh more, or I want to travel more. You know, so specifics and qualities. You know, these things, and just that focus alone will start to shift. You know, you're starting to push around the boundaries around what's possible in your reality. You can create. I mean, it's good to create small things like, as I said, being on time. You know, how about being on time for something, or how about in reality creation? They often say the small things like creating a parking space. You know.
Oh, that's the classic, isn't it?
Classic.
Yeah.
That was my second one. After being on time, I thought, well, I'll park my car, you know, and I'll always... So then I was visualizing spaces and getting them, and I thought, this is incredible that I am getting these spaces. I did push the boundary quite a bit on that one, because one night I went to the pictures in the West End. I drove down the West End, and West End's very difficult to park on a Friday night. You know, it's very hard.
Yeah.
And I thought, I know what I'll do. I'll park it on a double yellow line, and I'll just intend the car's perfectly safe, and I'll surround it with light. You know, which is
Wow.
in hindsight quite a foolish thing to do, really. But I was young, naive, and innocent, and full of gun ho. I can create what I want. I went to see the film. I came out, and the car was perfectly fine. And of course, I knew it would be perfectly fine. But years later, I realised, you know what, that wasn't probably a great idea, to do. So I'm not recommending people do that. But in terms of what can be created, I've worked magically with things like the weather, and I found even the weather can be shifted with one or two a few minds focusing on the weather. I've done this over and over again. The weather itself is very easy to shift, actually. As long as there's nothing majorly going on in the world, because the weather is affected by mass consciousness. But if there's nothing too major going on, like a war or a Paris bombing or something, where most people are getting shaken, it's quite easy to affect the weather. So.
Well, I'm sure your experience is like so many of ours, that on powerful energy workshops, the weather always responds to what's happening.
Yes, indeed. Yes, I found that over and over again. I used to run these retreats in the Lake District, and at the beginning, the Lake District is the wettest part of Britain, really, and we go up there. In the beginning, as people are processing, it's raining, it's grey, and then once they come over the other side and they're into the kind of their own inner light, the sunshine comes out. I mean, I've run retreats for about 10 years, and every time it seemed to happen. It was amazing, really amazing.
It is amazing, isn't it? Yeah. And it's so playful. It's so joyful, just watching how, it's like watching co-creation in practice, moment to moment.
Yeah,
it's fabulous.
Oh, it is fabulous. And if anybody's listening to this, going, "Well, that's not possible," then there's a little boundary there around. I mean, it's good to notice what is. Of course, if you're going to run through a brick wall, that takes a different amount of energy. I wouldn't recommend. I'm going to visualize myself.
Yes.
But I have actually met people at Alternatives who've actually said they were able to shift that way. I mean, I've never done it myself, but Jesus reportedly walked on water and created all these different kinds of miracles. And
yes, exactly.
There are living yogis in India that can be buried alive and can slow their heartbeat down to almost nothing. To Sai Baba creating miracles with creating things in his hands. Amma, the spiritual teacher, who in her earlier life used to create lots of miracles just because people demanded it. Now she doesn't do it. But so if in NLP they had this great saying: if one person can do it, then anybody can learn to do something. So and that goes for miracle creation as well.
Of course it does. Yeah. Great. So, Steve, you've been to a lot of different. You've met a lot of different spiritual teachers. You've been exploring for many years. So, tell us about your favourite ways of clearing blocks, of clearing whatever it is that stands in the way of this reality creation.
All right. Yeah. Clearing blocks. Well, a very simple one. Let's say a very common one would be family conditioning is the most common block. So I would say if somebody was to close their eyes right now and pick an area, let's say again money, or work, let's say, or love, and if you close your eyes and just say, what did my mother, or what does my mother say about this area? Just close your eyes and just listen to the messages that you remember being given. It might be messages that she said, or something you watched her do through her life, or what, and then just gather the evidence of what your mother believes about this, and you can see from her reality what she must believe. If she led a very, hard work is the right way. Hard work and little money, maybe. It's good to be pure and hardworking, or your father may have certain ideas and beliefs. To then go inside and ask, what does my father believe or say about money? And remember all the messages and even the silences and the examples he gave. So my father would come home from work absolutely exhausted, unhappy. He didn't have to say anything about his work. I could automatically deduce work is a stressful, unhappy thing. So what are the examples that your mother and father gave you around this? What were the messages they gave you around this? Just make a note of it, because those messages are going to point towards our own belief systems. Right, so when we've got that, then another exercise would be get a piece of paper and write down what I believe now you've gathered what your parents believe about this. What I believe about X, money, work, love. And then just spend time just writing out every thought, feeling, idea, and don't censor anything. Get as angry as you want, get as passionate as you want, write it all out. And then once you've written it out, go back and read it and highlight, or you might need to ask a friend, because some of these beliefs will be invisible to you. Ask a friend that you trust, what do you think I believe about this after reading that? And they will tell you. It's probably better to get someone you trust, because they'll say, and you want someone who's not going to impose their beliefs on yours. You don't want that. You want someone who's a clear mirror. You can say, well, look, when you say this, it looks like you're believing that. Is that true? And then you might say, yes, it is true. That's the way I think it works. So then you go, there's the belief. Because often beliefs are invisible. We don't think they're beliefs. We think they're the way reality works.
Yes, so exactly.
What we're looking for are the core beliefs around money, let's say. I can't earn money joyfully. Let's say that's a core belief. So then, what we need to do is reverse the belief into a kind of affirmation. So, and we have to really push it as far as we can. So, making money is joyful, or add it so it reverses. And then we can treat like an affirmation. Now, affirmations are best to be done or said when we're doing something physically, like when we're walking down the road, when we're cycling, when we're in the shower. Say the doing something physically with the body, it makes it go in much deeper. So say the affirmation, and I used to, when I did this as an exercise, I used to say it 100 times a day, doing something. If it's a really strong belief, 100 times a day for 21 days is probably a good. If it's not a strong belief, you don't need to do quite that much. So once you're doing this exercise of, it's possible for me to earn money joyfully, then the exercise, and you do the 100 affirmations a day, the exercise is to go out and look in the world for examples of where that's possible. So one example would be David Bowie, who passed recently, very tragically, of course. David Bowie looks like someone to me who's highly creative, who's enjoying making loads of money, doing what he probably loves doing, is joyful. It might be an artist down your local market. It might be, but you're looking for examples of people. You want as many examples as possible, because the more examples we collect, the more we see, or there's something inside our mind that goes, well, if it's possible for these 10 people, it's certainly, why can't it be possible for me?
Yeah, quite.
But usually when we believe something strongly, without questioning it, we go around collecting examples of that belief, So let's say we have a belief that people are basically selfish. It's a common belief, So we'll go about the day looking and noticing, there's another, there it is, I can see that person there, totally not interested in any, But what we need to do is, if we're reversing a belief like that, is going, people are basically generous and caring. Go about the day and noticing where a stranger smiles at you, where someone does something caring for somebody else. It's collecting a different kind of evidence. It's giving your unconscious mind a different point of reference. All right, so that's a good way. If the block is deeper, you could do things like creative visualization, magical work, ritual work, hypnosis, energy healing. Metatronic healing is brilliant. Of course, we're taking the story out of the body energetically. So, as you know, I'm teaching my grandmother suck eggs, obviously. But the whole brilliance of Metatronic healing is that it can take a story out energetically. So if your family's got a story around money, and you've got a story around money that maybe goes many other lifetimes, something like Metatronic healing, I would recommend see a Metatronic healing practitioner like Pippa or Claire or many of the others, and have them take out the story in the body and implant something new. That's a great way energetically to work on these things. What I do in soul matrix healing again is good. Is looking at other lifetimes, clearing energetic blocks, looking at the energy fields, clearing that. So really, it's around the whole point of the work is around sharpening up the conscious mind, unifying it left and right, so we're both becoming a bit more intuitive, a bit more feeling, a bit more connected to our body, a bit more sharper on what we want, around our focus, which is a bit more left brain. Our unconscious mind, we're clearing up all the beliefs and on the stories in the body and the conditioning. Once we've done that, we can go to the next stage, which is the higher stage of reality creation, which I call the kind of quantum reality stage, which is really where we start working with a higher consciousness, a higher self, which then opens the door for us to start connecting with entities like Metatron, angelic forces, guides, and these things. That's where our reality shifts into a whole nother level, because we're not now then just hard work. It's kind of, the first level can feel a bit like hard work at the beginning, especially if we're new to it. Once we've done that work, which probably we should do for a couple of years, I think, really focusing on that work, clearing out the unconscious, getting focused on what we want to do, looking at our choices, looking at our motivations, just looking at those levels, then we go into really, it's not that we shouldn't meditate, of course, but we should, but it's really like working in a quantum way with our higher mind. Really takes, for a beginner to get there, takes probably a year or two to really start working at that level. This is where we start establishing a connection to our higher self. We start working with meditation. We start communicating with our higher self, like working. What does our higher self want in this area of love? What does our higher self give us messages in terms of our work? I worked for 10 years in the city, financial systems, and then 10 years in local government. It was in the second 10 years I started working very strongly with metaphysics. And for about 5 years I was cleaning up my reality, cleaning up my relationships, cleaning up, adding more fun in my life, but really my work was the last bastion of kind of old reality. And it took me 5 years to really get, this was kind of a major step for me. Where does my higher self want me to go? And I started kind of working with it and asking for help, and starting getting a lot of synchronicities. I remember walking down, when I was still employed as a manager, walking down Acre Lane in Brixton and just saying to my higher self, should I resign now from this job? It was kind of very specific. I felt I'd done so much work. I thought, is it time? Within 24 hours, I remember getting the message, walking down Acre Lane, on the back of a T-shirt, just do it, which was just resign, really.
Yeah, that's great.
And then my mind rejected it. I thought, no, I can't possibly accept such a banal sign, And then I saw the same sign within about 2 minutes. I resigned that day or the next day, I can't remember. And there was a great double rainbow in the sky afterwards, and I thought, well, I'm on the right track. Reality's reflecting back to me. Yes, you're doing it. But then I really had about 2 years of going, well, I tried all kinds of different things, from selling blue algae to selling books in the bookshop, and until I really found my path at alternatives, which really got me, this is where I need to. I was volunteering at alternatives, and I started working in the office, and then I became a director within a couple of years. I was a director of the company. So the higher self gave me the right timing, because if I hadn't resigned at that moment, I'd probably missed the moment of opportunity that came about 2 years later.
That's a really important point, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Trusting the divinity of the timing, trusting that the timing is right, and being responsive.
Yeah, totally. And when we open up to our higher mind, really we start to really know that we're multidimensional, that we exist in many more lifetimes across time-space dimensions than this lower one. And some of those are resonating at a much higher frequency. Some of the lifetimes we've lived or are living, we've developed many skills and gifts that we can start downloading and opening to. So an example would be, when I was first a director of alternatives, I was a co-director with two others, and then there was a big fight in the organisation. The other two resigned. And I was left holding the organisation. But I wasn't really ready to run it. I didn't know enough about business. I didn't know how to run an organisation like that. It was completely new to me. I knew some of the administration of it, but I didn't know about running it, So I basically had to call on my higher self, can you please download, how do I run this business? What choices do I need to make? And it told me completely, hire that person, hire, two people I hired immediately. One is still the director of alternatives, Richard. It was no interview, it was you're hired, And it worked brilliantly. And then in terms of speakers, that speaker will do that one. And then the money kind of shifted, and alternatives became much more abundant. When I left it in 2012, it was in a very good position. Yeah. So it was all, it wasn't really me doing it. It was all channeled business skills that some part of me somewhere else kind of knew exactly what to do. Or, of course, guides around me were being called to help me also, who had the skills as well.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's where reality creation takes on. So, and then when I wanted to write a book, I'd never written a book before. I've written 4 since, but I had to kind of download quickly. Well, how do I do this? You know, how do I get a book deal? And I got a book deal in a very magical way. You know. So there we are. Yeah.
Great. Can I just say one thing here that keeps, as you've been speaking, what has kept on coming to me visually, it's the same when I'm working in the way that I work, but I was seeing sensing such a feeling of space. That feeling of, as you clear the bits that are in the way, you get this wonderful sense of creating an open space that's there to receive the download, do you know?
Yeah. And really, I mean, it is such, the vibrational aspect is so important, and this is why I love the Metatronic healing so much, because in all of the trainings that I've done, each one was a kind of download of a higher vibrational frequency, which is why I did it, really, because I felt each level is accessing me to another level of this Metatronic healing, which also impacted upon my ability to create what I want to create in life. So I think it also has that double whammy, you know, not only are you becoming a healer, but you're also shifting your ability to create differently in the world, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, Steve, this is all wonderful. Would you like to lead the audience, the whoever's listening out there, would you like to lead us through a meditation? I think that would be a beautiful thing if you could do that now.
Yes, okay, brilliant. This one really is for people who have been a bit more along the path. So this is a quantum co-creational meditation to create with the higher frequencies of the higher self and beyond. So
lovely.
Okay, so let's get everyone breathing and connecting to the breath. So if you take a breath in the body, and with the breath, really connect with the body, because as we said earlier, the body is the magical wand that channels all the energy. So with the in-breath and the out-breath, just imagine with each breath you can connect even more fully to this physical vehicle of blood, bone and matter. Blood, bone and matter. And imagine with each breath you can breathe in energy and light from the universe around you. Energy and light from the universe around you. And as you breathe that energy and light from the universe around you, allow that light to really infuse into your physical body, so that you can bring your body, the vibration of your body, up a number of degrees. On the out breath, just imagine you can release any energy in your body that you don't really need, that you've taken on from other people. And with the in-breath, just breathe in light from the universe around, from the sun, or the stars if you're doing this at night. And on the out-breath, release any energy from your family that you've taken on. Often we take on energy from our mother, energy that we've not really questioned. Just ask your unconscious mind to release any energy from your mother that you don't need, that doesn't serve you. Any thoughts, feelings, beliefs, emotions. Allow your mother some space from you. Allow her some space. Give yourself some space from mother. And then do the same for father. Take a breath. And just release anything from your father that you've taken on as energy. Thoughts, feelings, beliefs, ideas, choices you may have made. And just release that on the out breath. And breathe in new possibility, new light from the universe around you. As you feel more connected to the body, ground that sense of energy into the body, and feel your energy field really grounding also into the earth, really right down to the core of the earth. And the core of the earth is a very high, intense energy field. The core of the earth, like a brilliant sun right in the core of the earth. Beyond the rock and the mud and the soil and the fire, is a brilliant ball of light right in the core of the earth. Just feel your energy field connected to that ball of light, and breathe that energy up into your body. And then imagine reaching up with your energy field up to the core of the sun. Or if you're doing this at night, it's the star nation, the billions of stars, just reaching up your energy to the stars or the sun. And then pulling down light from the sun or stars, higher frequency stars, down into your body. And opening the inner circuit between earth and sun, or earth and stars. Because we are a being that's connected both to the earth and to the cosmos. And allow this energy to fill you, of both cosmos and Earth. Cosmos and Earth. And bring to mind that miracles are really just a matter of a heartfelt desire plus a high vibrational force. Miracles are just a matter of a pure heartfelt desire plus a high vibrational force that really affirm anything is possible for you right now. Anything is possible for you right now. All limitation is just self-imposed. All limitation is just self-imposed. Reality is not fixed. Reality is more fluid than you possibly imagined. There are rules in the matrix of reality that can be bent. And there are rules in the matrix of reality that can be transcended. Call your higher self to you now and imagine a ball of intense diamond white light descending down from the cosmos, down through your higher chakra system, down around the top of your head and into your body. And imagine you can call your higher self as a field of intense energy around you now. And imagine pulling that energy into your body, into this kind of magical wand, this physical vehicle, which is itself divine. Divine. The body is a reflection of the soul, of your thoughts and feelings. Your body is a reflection of your soul. Pull this light into the body. Pull the light into the body and feel every cell of your body being uplifted by your higher conscious mind. By your higher conscious mind. And right now, just open your heart and think of something that you want to create in your reality. In this high vibrational light, open your heart. Think of something you want to create in this reality. Could be something around your work. Could be something around your relationships, your friendships, your money and wealth. Could be something around a particular project or opportunity. Could be something around something like, for example, traveling to a continent. Just call something to mind that you want. Now this, if it's a real heartfelt desire, it'll be something you're willing to step towards. It's not a fantasy that you're really running away from something in your reality because it's an escape from. This is a moving towards something you really want to create. Maybe writing a book. Maybe having more fun in your life. Maybe more play. Maybe a greater sense of spaciousness. You know, especially if you live a very tight life, how would it be to have greater space around your work, your friendships, a greater space around money? What about a greater sense of connection to a different kind of work, more supportive people in your work perhaps, a different working environment, perhaps more opportunity of working at home, not having to commute on the train, you know, for 2 hours every day or something like that. So it's really about focusing on what you want, not what you don't want. Of course it's leaving behind something you don't want, but think in terms of something perhaps specific you want, and then think of the feelings and the qualities that this experience will give you, such as joy, spaciousness, connection, play, creativity, innovation, success, however you define that. Now remember, with any heartfelt desire, the moment you create something for yourself that's heartfelt, you not only bless yourself and your life with more light, you also bless the world and give permission to others around you to do the very same in their reality. Remember that as you bless yourself and your reality with more possibility, more light, you also bless others around you and give them the permission to do the same, so that you don't have to have people around you who are martyring themselves to a hard reality, where reality is hard, reality is suffering. You can uplift yourself, and that's a gift to the world. See your desire now as an energy field that surrounds you. So whatever the desire is, imagine it's work. See this desire as an energy field around you, and notice the colours of this energy field, and maybe any images in the energy field, like things that you specifically want, like a bigger desk, or if it's love, you know, a certain type of date that you're going to go out on. Just notice it's an energy field around you, and within that energy field are specific shapes, images, experiences that you can see visually. Perhaps there's little videos going on. Add more colour to this energy field, to these little videos of you experiencing these things in the future. Make the colours either more intense or more subtle. Add new colours. Imagine you've got dials in your consciousness that can change the colour, the tone. Maybe add more sound to your video. You can hear yourself going, ooh, ah, as you experience something different in your reality. If you don't have that sense of, oh, this is just what I want, then there's no real power for you to move towards it, you know. It's got to be something you really would delight in experiencing, you know, that delight in going to a new country and just sitting on a beach and feeling the sand in your toes and the blue sea in the distance, you know, and perhaps jumping in the ocean, and imagine going in for a swim and swimming in that lovely warm azure blue water and looking up to the sky above, which reflects that a different shape of, a different colour of blue to the ocean you're swimming in. Perhaps you want to go to Egypt and visit the temples, you know, the pyramids, and imagine yourself climbing, you know, down or up some steps in a pyramid and just feeling the walls and smelling the smell of going into a pyramid. Or perhaps it really is going on a date with someone that you absolutely love, and the conversation's great, and you know the food is fantastic, and the setting is amazing. You know, maybe you're in your favourite restaurant overlooking a certain river or something like that, and the whole evening unfolds beautifully, and they want to see you again, and you want to see them again, and so on. You know, and the feeling of love and of how much happiness it gives you. The feeling is very important around this, of course. Now, play with this for a while, this energy field of colour and imagery, and add things to it, and just explore the whole thing. You know, as you explore in this way, you might find, well, it's not quite, actually not quite that. Maybe more of this. You know, maybe more support would be great, or more connection with more people would be great, or more adventure would be great, or more, you know, going into the unknown would be great. Just play with it so you can add more ingredients into what you want to create. Now, as you do this, ask your higher self now to help you condense this field of energy of all the things of this thing you would desire, or or all the qualities or ingredients of what you desire, into a ball of light that you can hold in your hand. So bring the whole energy field now of this thing that you want to create into a ball of light, perhaps several inches across, that you're holding in one of your hands, and just look at this ball of light and feel the power of it. How intense the light is. And then bring this ball of energy into your body, into your heart perhaps, and imagine the ball of light just can diffuse around the whole of your body with your breath. Breathe it into your blood. Breathe it into your blood. Breathe it into your bones, the very bones of your being. And see every cell of your body getting this ball of energy. So imagine this ball of energy is resonating with every cell of your body. Every cell of your body. And feel the feelings of having this thing, or something even better. Just affirm having this reality or something even better in accordance with my higher good and the highest good of those around me. This reality or something even better in accordance with my higher good, my soul destiny, and the higher good of other people around me. See that really resonating with every cell, and really allow the cells of your body just to absorb that light. Absorb that light. This light is heading you towards a different future reality, a slightly different future reality than one perhaps you were already heading towards, a different future self that can experience this or something better. And in terms of time, just have a little mental communication with your higher self now. In terms of time, how ready are you for this reality? Are you ready now? Are you ready in a few days' time? Realistically, are you really ready for this? Are you ready in a few weeks, a few months? So just ask your higher self to bring this at the fastest time that will feel comfortable for you. Comfortable for you. If there's anything in the way of you creating this reality, ask your higher self to make you aware of this in the next 48 hours. It might be through dreams, or through a conversation, through a book, through a meditation, through seeing a healer, or something in your reality will point to something. You just need to little tweak a bit to really allow this reality really fully in. Now thank your higher self. Thank your higher self for helping you in this process. Thank your higher self. Allow your higher self just to release from your body and start shifting back up the higher chakra system. So as a large ball of light is ascending above your head, out of your crown chakra and leaving your body now. Taking this dream with it to manifest in the ideal time, ideal way. Now come back to your breath. Come back to your breath. Come back to the breath. And come back to the body. And remember the dream that resonates in every cell of the body. And that this dream has been taken by your higher self to manifest at the right time and the right way. Or to point to you anywhere where you need to tweak your inner belief systems or anything you need to do differently to actually step much quicker towards this reality. And breathe and feel your body connected to earth and cosmos, and just for now release the connection to the cosmos, the sun, the stars. Release the energy field of the sun and the stars, not completely but just enough, just to come back to your 3D reality with a higher frequency, of course. And to the earth below, just release the intense energy field of the core of the earth. Not completely, just enough to come back more fully to your 3D reality. And feel yourself coming back to your body, coming back to the body, and wiggle your fingers and toes, and release any attachment to this reality manifesting in the way you expect it to manifest. It's very important to release it has to be in this way, or this time, or that way. Just allow it to come in at the perfect time, in the perfect way. Just as if you're a gardener planting seeds in the garden, you wouldn't dig the seeds up to check their growth, or say it has to grow in this direction or this height. Just know that you've planted seeds now into your inner being, and you've given it to your higher self. And just allow those seeds to grow and manifest in the right way. And this is something you can repeat over and over again with different things that you want to create. You don't have to just do it once. You can take different areas of your life and create. And of course keep going with this, because repetition breaks down those old boundaries or limitations, pushes the barrier out of what's possible for you. Practice, practice, practice. Open, open, open. Release, release all attachment. And there we are. And there we are.